Alright everyone, today we are going to be making gingerbread. The recipe that I have calls them rolled ginger cookies, but it is really good gingerbread, so I've got some of the ingredients here. First though, we are going to preheat our oven. Okay, so we're going to start with a 1/4 cup of butter that I pre-softened in the microwave because I don't like fighting with hard butter. And this one's actually margarine. But you can also use butter if you don't like margarine. And then 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. We are going to cream that together. Creaming something together just means you get it completely mixed so that you can't unmix it at some point, right? So you don't want any lumps or chunks or anything like that. Then, so that's pretty good. See, it's all one consistency. Then we're going to need 1/2 cup of molasses. Now, the molasses is going to stick in your cup because molasses is quite sticky. So the way that you can solve this problem is you can use Pam or like the wrapper from your butter block, but you just spray the cup so that it has a thin coat of oil on it. Then, when you, the molasses is going everywhere. I had it upside down because it's almost empty. Then when you pour your molasses in, if it will pour at all for me now, there we go. It's gonna slide right out and it won't leave half of your molasses measurement in the measuring cup. So let's let that drip for a little bit and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got the full cup of molasses here and pour it out. I will show you how it doesn't stick as badly with the oil in there. So there's still a little bit left, but you can see that most of it has come out. And when you don't use oil in your molasses cup, the vast majority, like half of it, might even stay behind. So you just take a little spoon, get the last little bit of that out. Okay, so 1/2 cup of molasses. And then you're going to want 1/3 cup of water. Most of the time when you do liquid, you want to use like a liquid measuring cup, but because it's just 1/3, we can just use this. So I'm going to grab some water from the sink. Okay, and you're going to want to mix that all up so that, again, it is one consistent mixture. Alright, so because you have oil and water, it's never going to fully mix, but you can see that it's mostly consistent. You have the little bits in it, but yeah, this is about as good as it's going to get. The flour will help to actually bring it all together. So we're going to need 3 1/4 cups. So 1, 2, 3 and 1/4 cups of flour. Then we're going to do our baking soda and our spices. Okay, so a teaspoon of baking soda, not baking powder. Soda. And there is actually a pretty big difference. Then you're going to want a teaspoon of ground ginger. And this is gingerbread, so if you get a little extra, it's okay. Then you need 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. So grab our 1/2 teaspoon measuring. And we use so much cinnamon in this house that we have ours in a big jar. 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, quarter teaspoon, my bad, quarter teaspoon of cloves, and these are ground cloves. Don't put in the whole cloves, obviously, because then one person will just get a clove, and it's very strong. So quarter teaspoon of cloves. Then this is all very sweet stuff. We need to balance that with half a teaspoon of salt. Then you're going to mix all of that together. You should already start to be smelling the lovely aromatic cloves and ginger and cinnamon and all that mixing together. So yeah, then just stir it all together, and then we're going to roll it out, because these are roll and like print with like cookie cutters, right? So we're going to make some gingerbread men. So this should be your dough when it is all mixed together. I did use my hands to finish it off because the spatula can't really get this lovely consistency. Then I'm actually going to be rolling it out on my stovetop. This isn't recommended for most because the oven is on and we don't want it to be too warm, but our tile countertops make it difficult to roll on because the dough gets stuck in the cracks. And our table at the moment is full of things because we were doing a deep clean and putting things away to start decorating for Christmas. So I'm going to use the stovetop, which I did wipe down. So you're going to take a little bit of flour, just a little, so that it doesn't stick too badly. Then you're going to take your dough and plop it down. Start with your hands and mush it out flat, and then I will show you how to properly use a rolling pin, because yes, there is a proper way to do it. Okay, so now that your dough is mostly flat using your hands, you're going to take your rolling pin. Now our rolling pin is lovely. It is marble, so it is heavy on its own. So I don't need to put much pressure because the rolling pin itself is so heavy. If you have a wooden rolling pin, don't have a plastic one. Those things break and they're awful. But you might need to put a bit more pressure. To properly roll, you start in the middle and push out like this. Do not go back and forth. You will catch the lip and peel it over. You tear your dough. It's just a nightmare, okay? So just pushing out from the inside, okay? Work slowly. Do not press too hard. You also don't want to get bald spots in your dough. Once it is a little bit flatter, as long as you don't go to the edge and come back, you can go back and forth a little bit. Okay, but you're going to push so that it rolls out nice and slowly. You can always patch your dough back together if it does crack along the edges. Okay, if you find that the dough is sticking to your rolling pin, you can flour your rolling pin. Just take a little bit of flour from the bin and sprinkle it on your rolling pin so that it doesn't stick to your rolling pin. Okay, the biggest thing with rolling pins and rolling out dough, including pie crusts, which I will be showing you at Christmas. I will be showing you how to make pies because, seriously people, I'm taking a moment here. Store-bought pies are the worst. Don't do it. It is easy to make your own pie, so just make your own pie because it's ridiculous buying store-bought pie. Anyway, so you're going to want to check the edge of your dough all along here to make sure that it's about the same thickness, and get down level with your dough. Look along the edge of it to see if you have any bumps or bubbles, areas that are thicker, because you want the cookies to bake evenly. Then we're going to take our cookie cutters. I have tree, star, gingerbread man, and a bell. You're going to use your knowledge of middle school geometry, and you want to cut out as many shapes as you can, because every time you roll out your dough again, it gets a little bit more dense because you have to put flour down each time, so you're mixing more flour into it every time. Okay, so just, yeah, go ahead and get as many shapes as you can on there. And you're not wanting to pull up your cookies right away. Just punch them out, and then we will peel up the surrounding dough, kind of like the sheet on a sticker sheet, the edges. You can peel those off and then you just have your stickers. We're going to do that instead. Otherwise, you'll just mess up the rest of your dough trying to get these ones out from inside. Okay, so we have a full cutout. So you're going to get your bowl. I hope you've not put it in the sink yet. Get your bowl, you're going to peel up all these edge pieces and put them back into your mixing. No, the top of my tree. Pull all that up. Okay, from around your cookies. And it's all going to go back into your bowl. Then you're going to use one of these. This is a fish flipper, but it is my favorite thing for baking because it has a very sharp edge here, so you can pick up things much easier without smearing the bottom. Oh, where is it? There we go. Without smearing the bottom or rolling the edge over or anything like that. Then you're going to put it onto your greased cookie. Yeah, you might have to flip it onto your hand. And then onto your greased cookie sheet. Now, pro tip, grease your cookie sheets if you're using like pan, like spray-on stuff. Spray over the sink. If you spray it near the counter, like over the counter or over the floor in the middle of the kitchen, you will get grease on all over your floor. So if you do it over the sink, the excess grease that goes flying into the air goes flying into the sink, and it is a lot easier to get cleaned up because you just wash your sink. Otherwise you might slip on the floor or your counters are all greasy, so do it over the sink. Yeah, and just keep going until your pan is full. You want 12 on a pan, and then we're going to pop them in the oven. Okay, so I've refloured the workstation. I'm going to mix all of the cookie scraps, basically the dough scraps, together again into a ball. I'm going to re-roll them, I'm going to recut them, put them on the next pan. The pan that we have in, it should go in for between 8 to 10 minutes on 350 Fahrenheit. Just look at your cookies. If they're looking like really, really soft still, just keep them in. But you don't want them to get too hard because at least I hate hard, crumbly gingerbread that you can barely chew and it's all dry. So if anything, underbake them just a little bit because then they will stay soft. I will get back to you guys once the rest of these are in the oven. It might be a little bit. Once the cookies have come out of the oven, you do not want to let them sit on the hot pan for any more than 2 minutes, or else the bottoms will continue to break and they will get quite hard on the bottoms. So pretty much as soon as they are stiff enough so that they don't fall through, like if you're doing different cookies, these ones are pretty stiff, but if you're doing different ones, you don't want them to fall through the cracks or anything like that. So these ones are fine to take off pretty much right away. And you let them completely cool on one of these cooling racks. And yeah, it makes about 2 dozen cookies, a little over, I believe. And you can ice them. I'm going to leave them plain because I don't like too much sugar. But that's how easy it is to make gingerbread. They are soft and really flavorful, and they last quite a while as well. Okay, so the last thing I want to show everyone is how to clean up from this. If you take a damp rag and put it right onto here to wipe up all that flour, you will get glue in your dish rag, and it is very hard to get that out again. So you're going to need to take a damp paper towel, something that you can actually throw away. I know it's not zero waste, but you don't want to be throwing away your dish rags because it's so difficult to get it out of your dish rag. So you're going to wipe up all this excess flour using a damp paper towel, because then you can just toss it, and then you can go back with your dish rag and actually clean it that way. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and if you make the gingerbread, let me know how it turns out.